It's my pleasure today. I'm Ivy Burt, and I'm the Graduate Student Services Coordinator here at the school and continuing education. And it's my pleasure today to welcome Nicole Helwig and Rob Mclennan, and they're going to provide us with a presentation entitled Inside Social Enterprise, Insights into the Intersection of Social Work Macro Practice and Business Innovation. Nicole joined Memorial University of Newfoundland as the founding manager for the Centre for Social Enterprise in January of 2016. Nicole has a background in nonprofits and social enterprise. She was born and raised in St.John, Newfoundland, and she returned to the province in 2004 after more than a decade of international work and study. So her experiences include working with social enterprises and non-governmental organizations in Southeast Asia, volunteering on the board of a Hungarian foundation, living the startup experience with e-commerce in Central Europe, and working in the arts nonprofit sector in Canada. And you'd be interested to know that she has a BA from McGill, a classical ballet diploma from the Hungarian Dance Academy in Budapest, and an MBA from the Malaysia International Center. So welcome, Nicole. It's also my pleasure to welcome Rob Mclennan. Rob's no stranger to the school. He's the Director of Employment Services with Stella's Circle, which is a leading community organization in St. John's with a mission to transform lives through real homes, real help, and real work. And along with the housing and clinical services, Stella's offers a range of employment and education programs supporting people who have limited work experience or interrupted career paths in finding and maintaining employment. So as a community-based social worker with long-time interest in the relationship between work and health, Rob has overseen a variety of public and private programs and partnerships assisting people with career development and overcoming barriers. Rob is responsible for social enterprise activities within Stella's Circle, including the popular Hungry Heart Cafe, and if you haven't eaten there, I highly recommend it. And that's located at Rollins Cross, and Clean Start, which is a commercial cleaning business. Both of these initiatives provide workplace-based training for Stella's participants. As an original member of Stella's Inclusion Choir, Rob coordinates this non-audition community singing group, now beginning its 10th season. And he's passionate about helping vulnerable people access the support and services they need to make workforce attachment and ultimately increase their inclusion in the community. So, Rob was educated here at Memorial with a BA and a Bachelor of Social Work, and he's currently in our Master's Social Work program. I'm pleased to say that as well. So, join me in welcoming them today. And I'm going to turn it over to them. This is Jason. Jason is also from the Center for Social Enterprise, correct? So he's providing support to them today. And they're going to, I'm sure, give us a great presentation today and give us some really good insights into this issue of social enterprise and Stella's Circle being a really good example. So, turn it over to you folks.
Thank you very much, Ivy. It's a real pleasure to be here amongst you today and to have this opportunity here with Rob. And just to start, to see a few familiar faces in the room, how many of you are familiar with the program Inside the Actor Studio? So we're taking inspiration from that. It's a program where you see an accomplished actor who will be interviewed and who then shares experiences with a group of aspiring actors who are students. So Rob and I will be interacting for the first part and interspersing it with a little bit more information on video about Stella's Circle and some of the initiatives. And then we'll turn ourselves to you, the audience, for interaction and questions and answers. So without further ado, we'll get started. Ivy has done well, a very thorough covering of the introductions, and I'm sure many of you have already met Rob before. I'll just, coming from the Center for Social Enterprise, maybe give a few moments of background about the center. We are a new center at the university, starting operationalizing of our activities in January this year when I took on the role of manager. We have university-wide mandate to support teaching and learning in social enterprise, support research into social enterprise in Newfoundland and Labrador in particular, and also to nurture social enterprise development in the province, strengthening the sector here in our homes. We also are a partnership of the Faculty of Business Administration and the School of Social Work. So building bridges across different competencies, seeing how we can benefit from one another's skills, working multidisciplinary ways. This is very much reflective of social enterprise, what it's all about, and also the innovations to approaching very serious social issues that we face today, and looking at how we can bring, as our slide here shows, bringing business principles together with social mission and the skills that you, and skills and knowledge that you would have as social workers to addressing the challenges we face in society. So, Jason, would you mind the next slide, please? So I thought as a good way to start was also to share what is social enterprise, what are we actually talking about. So this definition comes to us from the federal government, and it describes an organization that could be nonprofit or for-profit with a declared social mission, so that there is some activity, revenue, business activity, selling a service or a product, but where the profits are directed back to addressing the social mission. So a social enterprise is not a charity that operates only with donations or with grants. And it's also not a socially conscious company that seeks to maximize profits for its shareholders. So with that framework, I think now perhaps we can have an introduction to Stella Circle and see how Stella Circle has been working with social enterprise and in social enterprise here in St. John's.
What is Stella Circle? We are a vital community organization that helps people who face barriers to fully participate in the community. These barriers could be mental health issues, addictions, poverty, homelessness, criminal justice involvement, and/or unemployment. The mission of Stella Circle is to transform lives through real homes, real help, and real work. Let's take a look at these three pillars. Real homes. Under Real Homes, Stella Circle helps people with complex needs find and remain in safe, affordable, and stable housing, all to prevent and address homelessness. Real Help. Within Real Help, Stella Circle offers a range of residential, community, and correctional-based counseling services, all to help people recover from personal challenges and change their lives for the better. Real Work. Included in Real Work, we offer a range of employment, education programs, and work experience, all to help people increase their employment readiness and move and stay in the labor market, to work at places like our popular Hungry Heart Cafe and Clean Start, our commercial cleaning business. Because the best social program is a job. A home, a job, a community. That's Stella Circle. Hope lives here.
Rob, thank you for agreeing to come here today. I'd like to start by asking you, you've been working at Stella Circle for a number of years now. What does Real Homes, Real Help, Real Work mean to you?
Thanks, Nicole, and it's more than a kick to be here. As Ivy said, it's both my alma mater and where I currently am going to school as a student. And us, over the last 12 years, I guess, or so of social work practice, it's a second career for me, coming from an entrepreneurial background, so kind of the social enterprise piece of how it's come together that way for me in my career. It's always exciting to be able to come and talk to social workers and budding social workers, because I think that social work has an incredibly valuable lens to bring to the type of work that is clustered under social enterprise. To your question around real homes, real work, real help, for me, I'd probably sum it up in one word, and it's common, a very common experience in what we see in the people we are working with and helping, and that's participation. If there's something that we're trying to encourage among everybody, it's the opportunity to participate and the circumstances where, or the environments where that's encouraged, because we all do better through participation in society. And to tie in my other great interest of participation, which is our community, our non-addition community choir inclusion, a kind of social enterprise in and of itself. I would say that we derive that quote, that notion from the incomparable music folk singer, American folk singer Pete Seeger, who wrote so many of the classics in the songbooks that we sing around social justice and inclusion. But participation is what's going to save the human race. And I think that's what real homes, real help, real work do. We're all doing better. If you think of your own life, when you have safe, affordable housing, when you have some work that you enjoy, and when you have a community and you're working home, a job, a friend, those kinds of things, it makes for a good community and healthy people.
Okay. You are the Director of Employment Services at Stella Circle. What does your role involve, and how did you come to be involved in social enterprise?
So, maybe the second part of your question, at an organization like Stella Circle, it's very easy to become involved in social enterprise because I think very much the organization has that interest at its heart, and it's been our first executive director of some 25 years, Jocelyn Green, was very much a social entrepreneur, and that was the lens that she applied to innovate, to create, and grow the organization and respond to need. So you can't work there and not help but feel that and be shaped by that and experience that. So in my specific instance, I was working at Emmanuel House, a residential community treatment program on Cochran Street, and opportunities became available through through what was the early beginnings of our employment division. It was a really natural evolution, because as people were at Emmanuel House and doing better, looking to finish the program and move on to the community, they were looking for housing, and they were looking for what they were going to do when they returned to the community. So growing out of, let's say, the real help piece of the wheel of the hub, that's where real work and real homes evolved. So I started working with one of our vocational programs that really career decision making and those kinds of things. And we're doing a lot of work that was traditional in career development, great area of practice for social workers, and we were helping people make those early forays back to work or into work for the first time. And it's great. So you think about learning to write a resume, developing your interview skills, that kind of thing. And as we went along, I guess drawing on the experiences of the work term, the field placement, the apprenticeship, people naturally learn by doing. And while it was great to spend time helping people learn the difference between a chronological and a functional resume, in many respects that wasn't the goals or interests of a lot of the people we were working with. And we found these natural pairings with actually returning to a work environment and the benefits that went along with that in learning and making gains that we didn't always see. There's always a group that will benefit from the kind of this sort of a format, a group in a lecture and facilitation and those kinds of things, psychoeducational groups. But then there was a group of people that were really responding to doing things and doing them in a labor market setting. So social enterprise kind of grew from that within our organization.
So would be right in understanding that, for example, the activities of the Hungry Heart Cafe social enterprise grew out of those vocational training?
Absolutely. Yep. So the story of the organization is one that started at Emmanuel House at 83 Cochran Street, and as the organization grew, we moved along. If you're familiar with downtown, along Military Road to Rollins Cross is where 90% of our programming and housing and activities are located. So we acquired the old Murphy grocery store, the W.J. Murphy grocery grocery store in 2003, and we had the space. Our executive director at the time was in Vancouver, and if you're familiar with the kind of downtown east side of Vancouver, there's a famous social enterprise food cafe there called Potluck Catering and Cafe. It's attached to the Portland Hotel. So it was from that visit that Jocelyn said, well, maybe we could do a cafe. And so that's how the idea of the Hungry Heart was born. And so in 2008, we opened to the public, and the rest is kind of history. Yeah.
Okay. Successful history.
So far.
So far.
Yeah.
I understand that you're interested in the relationship between work and health. How can or does social enterprise activity help address the issues that you face in your work?
Yeah, it's interesting. To speak from a kind of a, we took our lead. It's great when the evidence backs what you anecdotally and experientially learn and know and see for yourself. So I think employment is one of those things that, it was 1948 when the United Nations Article 23 declared the right to work, and the right to work for all of us. And when the global community comes together to assert something like that all those years ago, it's kind of common sense you follow through with that, but it reflects values of society. Always tread carefully when you're asserting values and middle-class values and achievement and these kinds of things, but what we've observed time and time again, our experience has been, is that work does incredible kinds of things for people when it's supported and measured and individualized. And I think that these are kind of we see the ability, the opportunities. We're social beings, and the ability to interact with others is so important to to maintaining good mental health. Achievement and recognition for that achievement. Work creates that structure. Not in all cases. I mean, we have to be careful, but the opportunity, the potential is always there. It's been observed that the best social program is a job, and certainly employment brings a host of psychological, physical, and health benefits that get demonstrated, I think, through social enterprise and in other workplaces too.
Pretty much almost like a joke. Like I didn't take I took my education as a very big joke. Like I wasn't serious about my education, and it took me 5 years to graduate high school. But the thing though is I didn't quit.
I was scared. I was always scared, of people in general. You couldn't even look at me and I'd want to cry because I didn't know what to say or do or how to interact with them, and they'd be just looking at me like I was alien or something. Yes, I'm doing ABE right now, and I work at the cafe. Yeah, the chefs are in at 7 in the morning, and they're preparing meals all day long. They're working with the prep done from the day before, and we just come in and we just help do the prep for the rest of the day and get a start on the next day too. Yeah, so that we're never run short and no one's going around like a chicken with head cut off because there's 20 people just walked in and we can't feed them.
So Rob, those are a couple of personal experiences of participants at Stella Circle who've been involved at Hungry Heart Cafe. Is there anything there you might like to add?
Just say that I guess for me, listening to John and Mindy, it was reflective of the importance of opportunities for people to have support around making transitions. And for a whole host of reasons, if you've not had opportunity to participate in the labor market, or you've had that interrupted career path, or not always opportunities to remain in school and to develop, we'll say, formal employment skills, it's important to have
intersects with social enterprise?
Sure. I think that there are, it's been my experience that if you're working in community, and really wherever you're practicing, innovation and the ability to leverage the resources you have to the best outcome that you can is kind of what behooves being in social work practice. And nowhere is that more evident than in community with year-to-year funding and the relationships of kind of how you maintain and keep doing the work that you do. So for me, we're kind of the business acumen and the social work professional knowledge base, practice skills. It's all layers. It's all kind of it's both and and you often are pulling up both to ensure that you are able to continue doing the work that you do. That kind of so in community, I guess what my message would be there's exciting opportunities if you have, particularly if you are a wee bit entrepreneurial in your approach to your work and to your life, and because there is opportunity to be very responsive and in ways that possibly work in larger bureaucracies and in other practice contexts wouldn't exist.
Having your BA in social work and now working on your MSW here at MUN, how would you say you might have had to adjust or adapt your skills to work in social enterprise?
I would suggest that I don't know if it's as much an adjustment in any skills as it is a acknowledgement of the value of the skills I had as a social worker and how they really bring value to areas where I might not have anticipated the value coming when I was in school first, from say the BSW to graduate school, and to say that our knowledge base, our the underpinnings of social work, person and environment, and the recognition of that, the ability to apply a variety of paradigms from in the notion of postmodern perspectives, that in the construction, the meaning of work, the ecological perspectives, and the interconnections that we have with community, work, family, institutions, anti-oppressive pieces. It's a valuable acumen. Then to the specific business kind of skills, you have to be able to read an income statement and those kinds of things as well. And you have to rely on people who have great expertise in those areas as well as also. But to me, it's very much it's both and so yeah, it's kind of for me it was an appreciation that wow, social work really brings a valuable perspective to community governance, and to social enterprise.
So it sounds as if business skills and social work skills are compatible after all.
It's my experience. I think they better be, because otherwise, I think they complement each other for sure. Very much so.
Are there any ethical considerations?
I think in any whatever there could be fierce perspectives and leanings towards how one categorizes activities that you're involved with. So you could say I'm involved in programming, or I'm involved in a social enterprise, and I would suggest that they don't diverge as much as they converge. But I mean, as a practicing social worker, we do have our code of ethics that we subscribe to, and they supersede our decision making. And then I would suggest that within so I guess that's always present. There's nothing inherently more challenging to practice ethics within a social enterprise context than any other context we face. At the end of the day, it's working with people, and it's first do no harm, and then working through all the other kind of considerations that hopefully see people make the positive changes in their lives. It's just the setting that we're doing it in, for sure. We will, just as an example, very quick illustration. In social enterprise is, if you think in terms of a kind of two boxes, you know, and they're for the relationship. So the box at the foundation would, you could say, is business, and the box that sits on top of that one, or in the same frame, is the programming. The two are interconnected and related, and whenever we're making decisions around, you know, should this be a business activity that we go down from a screen, I guess we look at what's the financial return, and or what is the return to social mission, stigma reduction, and other social gains. So, you know, we can kind of hopefully make decisions that look at what area are we, or what road are we going down, and where are the benefits. But there still need to be benefits.
Let's take a moment then and look at another social enterprise initiative of Stella Circle.
Clean Start has helped me build my confidence to be more independent, make extra money, and get out of my house, and help me with loneliness. The best things about working are getting out of my house, making extra money, being more independent. The worst things about working are going to work in a snowstorm. Yeah, and having to get up early in the morning. Yeah, Twyla picks me up at my apartment every 2 weeks and buys me a French vanilla cappuccino and drives me to work. Sarah referred me to counseling with Rob Mclennan to help me deal with depression and anxiety. I learned that no matter how hard it is to go to work while struggling with depression and anxiety, I must be strong and have courage to keep going forward without quitting, no matter how difficult things are.
What is the story behind Clean Start?
So Clean Start is an interesting sort of evolution. So we would have said that the Hungry Heart started as a social enterprise. It was very clear it was a restaurant, and it was outside of social work practice in that way. Clean Start was the social enterprise that started as a program. So it was an employment program that started in about 2008 when we had some space at Churchill in downtown. And we, again, were looking to have some practical components to Clean Start. What wasn't even called Clean Start at the time, it was called Can Do. And so what would end up happening is we would organize some leaf raking or some yard work, repairing a fence, some kind of small activities that were vocational in their focus, but was more intended to just engage people, and then we'd have a meal, that sort of thing. So as we started doing these things, and say some of the neighborhood churches noticed what we were doing, we started getting offers for employment, and we were not for employment, but for kind of contracts, I guess, for lack of a better word. So then we started cleaning one of the downtown churches, and then the next thing we were cleaning another church, and we were hired to rake a yard and do some snow removal. And before we knew it, we were becoming a business. So that initial leaf raking at the Anglican Cathedral manse, or on Church Hill, was changing and evolving into something where somebody saw value in the activities we were doing and were more than willing to pay us for it. So a lot of, as you can imagine, a lot of calls came in. We were trying to be open to everything, but like any business, like any organization, we started developing, I guess, an expertise in one area, and it just happened to be cleaning. And there were things about the cleaning side of things that really were conducive to what we were trying to accomplish in this kind of a transitional employment model that we were using. So from 2008 to just last year, we rebranded under the name Clean Start and are now a full commercial cleaning enterprise. And to say, just as a shout out to a colleague from Memorial University here, business student Justin Lipinski is doing we know we're doing this, now we have to kind of reverse engineer and kind of get to a point where we have a business plan to help validate and give us some more legs and direction to bring it, to grow it some more.
I think we touched a little bit on success factors. So of course, there are the financial success factors for an initiative. How are you addressing looking at your social impact and any social return on investment, if we could put it that way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And every social enterprise, I guess, is a little different in that way as to what are the, thinking of pulling out the logic model and those kinds of things, and what are the performance indicators. The outputs are plenty, but what are the outcomes? And, each one differs in that way. So in the example of Clean Start, one of the things we often look at is the number of hours of employment provided to individuals. We also were always interested in the number of people who leave Clean Start and move on to employment in the larger labor market. Because again, participation is not intended to be focused on Stella Circle or a particular employer, but it's about helping people launch and find their path, whether it be cleaning or something completely different. And so that would be another outcome. And we look at employment readiness. We look at housing. We did a corporate partner, Chevron, helped us finance a social return on investment SROI evaluation using that framework. And we found 3 years ago that for every dollar invested in Clean Start or Can Do at the time, roughly $2 was returned. So there are exciting metrics associated, exciting outcomes and potential for helping people.
Okay. On a slightly different topic then, how would you say your work relates into policy development? We're talking about macro-social work and from policy development, advocacy work.
So we're in a position to see people. We're very fortunate, blessed not to work within silos, both within our organization and within the rich community that is St. John's. There are, I think, collaboration is alive and well. Outreach from the university, the groups of employment programs, including the Salvation Army and ourselves, Choices for Youth, the Community Career Employment Collaborative, and the Housing and Homelessness Network. So there's plenty of opportunity at NAVNet. There's plenty of opportunities for eyes on the experiences of people navigating poverty and navigating transitions of all kinds: better housing, better health, better employment. And so when you see that, you also see the systemic issues that are hindrances, unintended, sometimes just evolutions that go down a certain road that block and prevent people getting to where they need to be as soon as they can. Employment, regrettably, is no exception. I wish it was, but there's tangly pieces, especially around transitions from income support to employment insurance to employment and back. And a lot of the people that we would work with, Nicole, are diagnosis of mental illness that's episodic and quite often very serious, and presents in ways that it causes interruptions to employment. And that's a vulnerability for folks when those transitions and interruptions to income occur, like us all. So there's opportunities to advocate in those areas around income support policy, housing policy, and those sorts of things. I can't say, so on the policy development piece, we as all of our partners are constantly in dialogues with each other and with government to try to spot those where we can and intervene and see some changes where possible. I'd like to see more though, always.
I think we always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what do you think is the future for social work and social enterprise?
I see this natural evolution. I see anybody working in community. To me, community agencies, community organizations, this wouldn't be exclusively Stella Circle. I think community organizations are social enterprises, and I think they're the innovation, creativity, and programming and serving whichever social need and group that they're working with is part of it. So maybe some of the distinctions, maybe there's more of a broadness that of appreciation and acceptance of kind of that. Yeah, we're kind of, maybe we're all social entrepreneurs in some respect, or we aren't. We need to be. And you look to different agencies. I mean, it's, if you think about diversifying income, revenue to do the work and make the responses that you need, it's interesting. I've often heard it observed that there's a kind of a tri-value or a varied income streams that can be available to social enterprise or to community organizations, whether it be traditional government investment or work through foundations and corporate partners and donations, but also self-generated income can be really valuable. And I think organizations will increasingly identify that, and again, histories with the YMCA, the YWCA, the Salvation Army, Choices for Youth, ourselves. There's lots of great examples of the Housing and Homelessness Network, the Autism Society. It's already happening here. I think organizations are increasingly doing that. And just to say too, I would always caution both, because a warning, a concern would be shared that, well, gee, is this meaning that it's somehow changing our values? Is this the neoliberal kind of government's backing out of things? But I don't think it's about that. I think it's about recognizing that we all will have opportunity to invest and support the important work that's happening, but it's just maybe some independence and creativity around how you can approach it.
A good concern to keep in mind as the provincial government develops a social enterprise strategy for the province.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Good point. I just have a last series of questions, but very short, very quick.
Right.
So
this is right out of the actor's studio. That's good.
So,
Star Wars, favorite movie, sorry.
Let's start with, what was your dream job when you were in your 20s?
Oh, a marine biologist.
And what about now?
Social worker. Is that? At the school of social work. You got singer?
Now, if someone gave you $1 million today, what would you do with it?
Right, and I wondered when I saw, that question, let me ask you, personally or professionally?
Leave it to you.
You leave it to me, okay. If it was professional, I would, because, $1 million, I would, quite honestly, there'd be a dream vacation, education for my child, pay off the house, or kind of the middle class dreams. But if it was kind of more creative, differently creative, we'll say, I would think it would be really neat to have a couple of things. One would be a social enterprise incubation fund that would be available to social entrepreneurs and others who had great ideas that wanted to, and I know that the school is going, the center is going down that road too, but I think that would be kind of a neat thing to make available grants or loans to people, and or an emergency bank of financing, a financer of last resort where $1 million was available when you needed that damage deposit, or when you needed that, you were just unexpectedly unemployed and you needed a few extra dollars to hold you over till the next opportunity, or something like that.
Wow. What wouldn't you do with the $1 million?
Wouldn't I do with the $1 million? That's a good question. There's nothing that jumps out that to try to. In both cases, I would try to put it. I would resist the urge to have it to spend it too quickly. I want to hang on to it.
You wouldn't buy more lottery tickets or anything?
No. I think I'd recognize my own impulsiveness and try to hang on to it to figure it out.
What do you wish you knew now in your career that you should have known before?
It's not possibly to say to you that I think that the incredible freedom and strength that's available when you're open to not going down a road of let's say I call them false dichotomies. The notion that it's black or white, it's on or the strength of social work is its ability to be very comfortable in the gray, and I think it's, from my worldview and my professional view, that's where the world is, and you can make impact when you are comfortable in that gray and help people navigate the systems and lives and relationships and opportunities that can be present.
So if you had a message for students of social work, what would that be?
The practice can be so many things, and be proud of the profession. It brings so much to the table, and a valued voice when you're able to contribute in the capacity of your work, and that the work is broader than you may think. And you know, I admire and look to occupational therapists, sometimes in nursing, and what they've been able to manage to do with speaking to their own professional knowledge base and where they've gone with things. Keep doing that in social work too, because our professional knowledge base, our skills, our judgment, perspectives are really valuable, and we can be leaders in those areas, in current areas and emerging areas for sure, including business and social enterprise, and community singing as well. My second shout out goes to Justin Mann, who's now accompanying our inclusion choir. So it's cool. Lots of areas of practice, for sure.
Final question. What's your favorite dish at the Hungry Heart Cafe?
This is a tough time to be saying that too, 5 to 1. There is, final question, I should make it brief, but I can't help myself with this. The brisket, okay? The brisket sandwich at the cafe. There's two things that go along. Carolyn Power, our current executive chef, there's two reasons she does everything from scratch. So when you think of that brisket, so the brisket's bought, from the butcher, and it's brought and it's smoked at the cafe. So that's a slow process, and then it's cooked over some ridiculously slow 6 to 8 period time, and it's pulled apart, and then all the seasoning and the sauce is made in-house. The bun, the bun that the brisket is served on, the coleslaw, the mayonnaise, it's all made in-house from scratch. Reasons for that is it just tastes a heck of a lot better. You can't buy a sandwich like this anywhere. It's from scratch. It's ridiculous from scratch. And then the other part is that steps. It helps our students because there are steps. A kitchen is I love cleaning and I love carpentry, and we work in that. But for me, I've got a real soft spot for the cafe, because if you think of how people learn and the incremental ways that you can celebrate new skills and accomplishments, if you're cutting carrots at the cafe and they're not, to the specific requirement of a vegetable tray, they can go in the soup and someone feels good about that. If on the brisket, you might not be roasting that meat, but you know what, you're shredding the cabbage, or you know what, you're kneading the dough, or you're even putting the dough in the oven, or laying the dough out in measured dollops on a cookie sheet so that it's cooking up. There's something for everybody to do, but you contribute together to that finished sandwich that people are really responding positively to. I know I buy one every day if I could. So that's the brisket.
Some sandwich.
Hey, sorry.
Okay, thank you so much, Rob.
Oh, this is awesome. Great.
Happy to open the session to the floor and see if there are questions out there, or any feedback for that matter.
This is where I would say, hey, come on in, Maurice, and there'd be 12 brisket sandwiches. I missed one there, sorry.
Rob, I'm curious because I've been kind of out of the Wiseman Center, kind of in that whole scene for a while. But I do know that New Hope Community Center does training for the building service program. So in your Clean Start, would you use graduates from there, or do you have your own training program?
No. Well, so yes and yes. We love to. There's like with the model I just explained with the cafe. Clean Start is built around the idea that there are different contracts, different buildings, different needs. So sometimes it's cleaning an office environment where you have to be mindful of the desk, the chairs, and all those things. Sometimes it's we're cleaning in a context, and that's a slightly different skill set. Sometimes we're cleaning the floor of a big stone church. So in all those different settings, there's different needs. We need people with varying skills. So it's transitional employment, and somebody coming with building service worker, the other BSW I like to
Yes,
call it.
I know.
Every time-
BSW in 12 weeks, isn't it?
Yeah, no, there's opportunities for BSW, both BSWs at Kingstar, yes. For sure.
You mentioned carpentry. What does digital social enterprise with carpentry?
We've never gotten there. We're close, but we are. What is interesting? People would take me to task for that, because at Stella Circle, our first social enterprise was our social housing. So, outside of the city of St. John's and Newfoundland and Labrador Housing, we're the largest provider of nonprofit housing in the province. So, all that to say, I think there's handy to 80 units that we are responsible for. And many of them are at Rollins, between Carew Lodge, just on Carew Street, down Military Road, Rollins Cross, there's another 18, there's 5 above the Hungry Heart Cafe. So there's a lot of upkeep to those properties. So our social enterprise, I guess, would be that people can develop carpentry skills while working for our property maintenance division within Stella Circle. We've tried to go to external customers, and we've challenged ourselves around that, saying, we've done apartment turnovers, some renovations and stuff, but we keep going back to doing the work that we've been doing internally. But it's no less the skills are the same. It's just a question of, I guess, for our own wrestling, what's the difference between an external customer and an internal customer? There's differences, but it's all good.
Other questions?
I guess from like a social work student perspective, how can we get kind of more involved with the social enterprise, whether it be working with the social enterprise or volunteering or?
Yeah, it's from the perspective, I guess I treat it similarly to, like, if it's about your own career exploration and kind of being curious about what it's all about. There are ways to kind of explore that. I think as the Center for Social Enterprise evolves and has a presence on campus.
We're actually starting to develop opportunities to place students in social enterprise, to explore career development. We're also looking at placing students in business and social work together on social enterprise development to see how that multidisciplinary sort of cross-pollination can happen. So we're piloting it now this semester. And yeah, I'll give you my contact details as we develop opportunities. And we've got some community partners who are interested and who would like to see how we can sort of expose students in, there we go. How we can give the students these opportunities. And we see it as developing the community leaders of the future. So.
And it's beautiful, this placement notion that Nicole's developing with the center as someone who is participating, a community partner participating. I'm enthusiastically endorsing it for a whole host of reasons. One, our organization and the participants, the people we serve, are going to benefit from it hugely. And I think it exposes people to social enterprise in a way that they might not have an opportunity always. And I think, the notion that, for a number of hours a week, there's that practical component that is outside of your field placement that gives people an opportunity for all that kind of learning. But in some social enterprise circles, there's often discussion of dynamic tension. And that dynamic tension almost, some would say, is essential for the social enterprise to know that it's kind of doing its thing. And when we say that, when I refer to it anyway, the dynamic tension is between the social mission and those financial metrics. So what in a cafe setting, what it would mean is, all of a sudden, look, if we were serving instead of 90 lunches a day, if we were serving 200 lunches a day, what is the impact to the participants who are in the kitchen doing that? Is it going so fast that they're overwhelmed, not learning, and feeling not good about the experience, in which case we've gone out of dynamic tension and we're out of balance? Or alternatively, do we have this great kitchen filled with 15 people who are kind of cutting carrots at some incredibly at a pace that's not encouraging growth, that's not, so then the social mission has taken over, and we're lucky to pay the rent to keep the doors open out front, because that's happened. So the neat thing from you talk about interdisciplinary work with social work, you think, okay, I'm going to go talk to the doctors and the team meeting and the nurses, and we're going to figure out what's going on with this person and help them. I love the placement that Nicole is describing, and that everyone here will have opportunity to participate in if you wish to apply for it or consider it for this semester. But that interdisciplinary would be with likely someone coming with that business skill. So the idea is that the host agency, such as Stella, would present something where you could work with that business student from the perspective of that, well, I'm going to call it the dynamic tension. Maybe we'll create opportunities where the dynamic tension happens. But either way, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing, and it would represent some really interesting learning and chance to kind of see a social enterprise doing its thing and be part of it.
Yes. So am I understanding right then, your center is hoping to partner with agencies in the community and connect students kind of like as a bridge to...
That's right. We're in the early stages. First run, we've had some excellent response from students, and we've had some wonderfully understanding and collaborative community partners who are very, very aware that we're building it and creating it as we go along. We have the broad picture, but it's taking keep focusing, and really excited about seeing coming to the end of the semester and seeing how the experience is unrolled for everyone involved, and really hoping to see that the students and community organizations and the clients they serve have really benefited in the way that we're hoping to achieve.
Rob, I'm curious about some of the challenges that may come up when you're trying to integrate a service user into an entrepreneurial venture, and how do you navigate that? And I'm wondering, like, when they're in that entrepreneurial setting, there may still be challenges that come up, and how does Stella Circle respond to that?
Yeah, for sure, Justin. That's because if that wasn't the case, we wouldn't have the right people in the program. Because it's about benefiting and identifying individuals that otherwise, if you were able, if you were in a position to go apply for a job, find the work, maintain the work, and all that stuff, then you wouldn't be, availing of our services. So I think that's one of the neat things to say about a social enterprise. We can, at our best, be leaders in how accommodations need to work and what employment support looks like in the workplace, while yet not going down that road of being the 15 people cutting one carrot over 5 hours, or the sheltered workshop notions of where kind of historically things have been. Transitional employment and supported employment models today are more progressive, and I think, but it's responsive and being individualized, and recognizing too that not everybody's ready at the time of keeping, our particular philosophy is always, the door is always open. So if it doesn't work this time, that's great. Step away, regroup, what didn't work, and come back and try it again. And that's kind of how we've approached it, for sure. And it's interesting because when increasingly social enterprises and other community groups working in the area of employment are engaging employers more, and if you think of that just intuitively would make sense, because that's how you help connect people to competitive employment and larger employment circles. And in many ways, we're all employers, social enterprises are working with people, and people inherently have times where they're doing better and times where they're stressed and stretched and all the rest of it. Think of our own experiences. So it's just 2 degrees, to what degree, and you're hoping that you're always able to respond and help people move to that place of increased stability, relative stability, through the enterprise activities or programming that you're offering. Okay, so required. Just to say one quick thing on that, it's very interesting about this participation piece. I can't tell you, so our non-audition community choir, I've had people when we were early days with the choir who would come in and say, Rob, can I talk to you? Things are going off the wall, it's crazy, can we talk? And the choir's about to start, can we sing, and then we'll connect afterwards. And I I can't tell you time and time again the repeated examples of, hey, do you want to connect? And it's like, no, I'm all right. It's good. It's good.
Like exercise.
What happened? What did we do? What did you do? But, so it's, and you've seen similar examples with employment. And just to say that we had one employer call us who said, do you have any idea how much that person you sent over lights up when they talk about carpentry? And, the employer then said, I actually had to invite a colleague in to do the interview with me because it was just such a wonderful experience. So it's, there's interesting things going on when people have that opportunity to become involved.
Anything else? Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, awesome, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.